What if I told you that one of the most famous ideas in economics is almost universally misunderstood? That the phrase invisible hand, the supposed foundation of free market capitalism, appears only 3 times in all of Adam Smith's writings? And what if I told you that the way politicians, CEOs, and textbooks use the concept today is almost the exact opposite of what the man himself intended? What if the father of capitalism wasn't actually defending greed, but warning us about it? And what if a misreading of a single metaphor reshaped global economics, justified centuries of inequality, and still determines how your job, your salary, your taxes, and your freedoms work today? Let's uncover the real story behind Adam Smith's invisible hand, what he truly meant, and how we got him so catastrophically wrong. To understand the invisible hand, we first need to step into the world Adam Smith lived in. It's the mid-1700s. Europe is transforming. Empires are expanding. Trade networks stretch across oceans. But underneath all the progress lies a brutal system, mercantilism, an economy built on monopolies, political favors, and corporations backed by military force. The British East India Company controls entire nations. Guilds restrict who can work. Prices are fixed by law. Wealth flows upward, not outward. Commerce isn't free. A man obsessed with morality, empathy, and ethics, not corporate greed. And in 1776, he publishes a book that will ignite a revolution, The Wealth of Nations. But here's the twist. The book is rarely read. Most people quote lines they've never actually seen. And buried in its 900 pages is a single metaphor that will be twisted beyond recognition. The invisible hand was not a celebration of unregulated capitalism. It wasn't a theory that greed magically benefits society. And it certainly wasn't a justification for letting corporations do whatever they want. Smith used the metaphor in a specific, narrow context. Avoiding unnecessary risks, they unintentionally help the nation as a whole. It was about natural human caution, not selfishness. Smith believed most people prefer the familiar. They invest close to home. They hire locally. They buy what they trust. This tendency, he argued, can create broader social benefit not because of greed, but because of modest, grounded decision-making. But then something changed. Fast forward to the late 1800s and early 1900s. Industrialization explodes. Corporations become massive. Railroads, steel, and oil reshape nations. And with new economic power comes a new intellectual desire, a moral justification for this power. Economists reinterpret Smith. Politicians cherry-pick him. Monopolists quote him without reading him. They elevate a single phrase, the invisible hand, and transform it into something Smith never intended. A theory that self-interest is automatically good, that markets regulate themselves, that government should step aside, and that greed is not only natural, but necessary. This reinterpretation was so powerful that it became dogma. By the mid-20th century, Adam Smith, the moral philosopher, had been replaced by Adam Smith, the prophet of deregulation. Except, the real man never said any of this. The invisible hand myth became the foundation of modern economic policy. But then came the breaking points. 1929, the Great Depression if markets regulate themselves. How could the global economy collapse overnight? 1970s. Stagflation. Why did inflation, unemployment, and shortages appear simultaneously? 2008. The global financial crisis. If greed supposedly leads to stability, why did the financial system nearly destroy itself? Each crisis followed the same pattern Smith warned about. Concentrated power, deliberate manipulation, market abuses, and the illusion that private incentives always benefit the public. The system kept failing not because of Adam Smith, but because the world abandoned what he actually believed. After each crisis, policymakers attempted fixes. After 1929, regulation, anti-monopoly laws, banking reforms, but over time, they were rolled back. After the 1970s, deregulation, market liberalization, privatization. These were sold as freedom, but often concentrated power even further. After 2008, bailouts, stress tests, new financial rules. But the underlying system remained the same. The invisible hand myth survived every catastrophe because it was too convenient, too simple, too profitable. Today, we live in a world governed by a misunderstanding. Shock number 1. The top 1% owns more wealth than the bottom 95% combined. Shock number 2. In many countries, 3 or 4 companies control entire sectors: food, banking, media, airlines, healthcare. Smith explicitly warned that businessmen rarely gather, even for merriment or diversion. But the conversation ends in a conspiracy against the public. And yet today, this concentration is normal. Shock number 3. Prices in many industries rise even when competition increases, a sign of hidden collusion and artificial scarcity. Smith predicted this too. Shock number 4. Modern corporations spend more on stock buybacks than innovation or wages, boosting share prices but weakening the real economy. Smith warned about short-term enrichment that harms long-term prosperity. Shock number 5. The idea that markets are natural is false. Nearly every major industry survives through government contracts, subsidies, protections, and political influence. Smith argued that markets only work when rules are fair, power is limited, and the public interest comes first. Imagine that. The father of capitalism believed in strong rules, fair play, and social responsibility. His modern followers do not. So what was the real message? Smith believed markets can create prosperity, but only when power is dispersed. Only when competition is real, only when rules prevent exploitation. Only when society as well-being is the goal. His invisible hand was a poetic metaphor, not an economic law. It was a warning about unintended consequences, not a promise of automatic harmony. He wasn't defending selfishness. He was defending balance. He wasn't glorifying capitalism. He was trying to protect society from its excesses. 1. Adam Smith believed morality comes before markets. He assumed virtue, empathy, and civic responsibility, not greed, as policy. 2. The invisible hand was never meant to justify unregulated capitalism. It described modest local decisions, not global corporate power. 3. Every major economic crisis came from ignoring Smith, not following him. When power concentrates, markets fail. When rules weaken, instability grows. And when greed becomes ideology, collapse is inevitable. We built an entire economic system on a metaphor the author barely used and many never understood. So the question is not whether Adam Smith was right, but whether we've been living with the consequences of a centuries-long misinterpretation. If the invisible hand was meant as a caution, what happens when we treat it as a cure? If you want more deep dive videos that unearth hidden histories, misunderstood ideas, and the forces shaping our world, make sure to like the video, subscribe, and turn on notifications. And let me know in the comments what economic myths should we explore next.